The never-ending fall. She was falling. Not in the metaphorical sense that had defined her life since the tragedy, that nameless event whose own gravity had warped her waking hours for months. No, this was literal, a physical descent through space, a body in motion obeying the most fundamental law of physics. Dr. Eleanor Chen opened her eyes to absolute darkness. The transition from sleep had been seamless, consciousness arriving without the usual fog of dreams. Her first sensation wasn't visual but proprioceptive, the profound absence of pressure against her spine, the missing resistance of mattress and sheets. The entire supportive architecture of the physical world had vanished, replaced by a perfect void. She tried to scream. Her lungs expanded, her vocal cords strained, but no sound emerged, or perhaps sound existed but couldn't propagate in this emptiness. There was no rush of air past her ears, no atmospheric friction against her skin. Just the pure, terrifying sensation of acceleration without medium. I've fallen through the bed. The thought emerged with startling clarity. Not off it. Through it. Moments ago, she had been curled on her side, weighted by exhaustion in her third-floor apartment. Now she was plummeting straight down through what should have been floors, concrete foundations, geological strata, yet encountering no resistance whatsoever. Her physicist's mind, a reflex even in panic, reached for explanation. The atoms composing her body were mostly empty space, electrons orbiting nuclei across vast relative distances. The atoms comprising her bed, her floor, the very earth beneath were likewise mostly void. Under normal circumstances, electromagnetic forces prevented the interpenetration of matter. But quantum mechanics allowed for tunneling, the vanishingly improbable passage of particles through seemingly impermeable barriers. The probability approaches zero, but never reaches it. The physicist's mantra surfaced unbidden. Had her entire body somehow quantum tunneled through solid matter? The mathematical improbability was astronomical, effectively impossible, yet here she was, falling. The acceleration continued, smooth and relentless. No impacts, no friction, just the clean mathematical progression of velocity. She felt herself drawn downward with increasing speed, a perfect demonstration of gravitational acceleration that should have eventually reached terminal velocity but didn't. There was no atmospheric resistance to counterbalance gravity's pull. This wasn't falling through air, nor merely a vacuum. It felt deeper, a medium transcending conventional physics. Eleanor closed her eyes not to block the darkness, darkness was all there was, but to marshal her thoughts. Her scientific training asserted itself against the rising tide of panic. Observe. Analyze. Theorize. Her awareness expanded, seeming to stretch beyond the limits of her body. She sensed, rather than saw, the Earth's layers flowing past, sedimentary rock, metamorphic strata, the mantle's viscous churn, the liquid outer core. She was falling straight toward the planet's gravitational center as if guided by invisible rails. Not possible. But she'd abandoned possible when she'd passed through solid matter like a ghost. She anticipated reaching Earth's core, that dense iron heart where gravity would peak before inverting, where all directional pulls should cancel out, creating weightlessness at the center of maximum mass. Then something shifted. There was no impact, no collision with molten metal. Instead, she experienced a profound reorientation. The sensation of falling didn't reverse into rising but transformed into something else entirely, a recursive descent. As if she'd passed through the planet's core into a gravitational anomaly where down remained constant despite any directional inversion. The ordinary Euclidean geometry of space had been replaced by something nonlinear, something fundamentally curved. Light began to appear, not illuminating the darkness but emerging from it. Pinpoints at first, then elongated streaks that curved across her field of vision like tracers. Stars, she realized, their light bent into impossible arcs and smears by immense gravity. Galaxies stretched like watercolors bleeding across a cosmic canvas. She was approaching, or had already entered, a region of extreme spacetime curvature. A black hole. The realization crystallized with chilling, academic precision. There's a black hole captured at Earth's core. Not an absolute impossibility, her mind rationalized frantically. Micro-black holes were theoretically viable, primordial remnants from the Big Bang, perhaps, or products of ultra-high-energy cosmic ray collisions. One could have been captured by Earth's gravity eons ago, too small to devour the planet but massive enough to warp spacetime into this inescapable well at its center. She should be experiencing spaghettification, her body stretched vertically and compressed horizontally by overwhelming tidal forces. Yet she felt intact, her consciousness strangely coherent. Perhaps this was an anomaly with an unexpectedly gentle gravitational gradient near the event horizon, allowing passage without immediate dissolution. Or perhaps the laws of physics themselves, as she understood them, had been suspended within this crucible. As she fell deeper, time itself warped. Memories fractured and reassembled, not chronologically but associatively, thematically. Her childhood fascination with the constellations. Her doctoral defense on quantum cosmology. The sterile white walls of the hospital room where everything changed. These weren't sequential recollections but simultaneous presences, coexisting in a spacetime where linear causality had lost its meaning. The black hole wasn't destroying her in the conventional sense. It was deconstructing her. Dimensions seemed to unfold like origami in reverse. Structure collapsed and reformed in ways she couldn't grasp. Time lost its linearity. Space surrendered its scale. She was being pulled not toward a singularity but through it, as if it were a topological doorway between realities. And then, light. Not the blinding flash of revelation but the gentle, amber glow of morning. Warm against her skin. Eleanor blinked. She was in bed. Her sheets were twisted around her legs. The window was partially open, gauzy curtains stirring in the breeze. Rain-scented air filled her lungs. The ceiling, her familiar, unblemished ceiling, stretched above her. No ruptured floor. No quantum tunnel ripped through reality. No lingering relativistic distortion. She sat up slowly, muscles aching slightly, listening for echoes of the fall, but heard only the ordinary symphony of a city morning. The faint settling of the old building. Birds calling from nearby trees. The distant, rhythmic murmur of traffic. She didn't immediately question what had happened. That would come later, the rigorous scientific interrogation, the formulation and testing of hypotheses, the search for any shred of evidence, however small. Was it merely a hyperrealistic dream? A complex neurological event triggered by stress and grief? Or something genuinely anomalous, a brief, terrifying glimpse behind reality's curtain? Had her consciousness, steeped in years of theoretical physics, constructed an elaborate, terrifying metaphor to finally process her intractable emotional state? For now, it didn't matter. Somewhere in the quantum labyrinth of her mind, perhaps, the fall continued. Some infinitesimally small part of her might always be suspended in that impossible descent, pulled toward the ultimate truth behind existence. But this conscious self, this specific collection of atoms arranged into a woman named Eleanor, had returned. She rose from the bed, deliberately testing her weight against the floor's reassuring solidity. And walked toward the kitchen, barefoot on the cool wood. Outside, sunlight painted the city gold. She felt hunger gnawing for the first time in weeks, not just for food, but for life itself. The crushing weight of grief that had defined her existence seemed lighter, not gone, but transformed, repositioned, as if viewed through the profound lens of cosmic scale. She made coffee, its rich aroma filling the apartment, a grounding scent. Opened her laptop. Began to type. Not the dense academic papers that had consumed her life before, but something new. Something tentative, attempting to translate the untranslatable, to capture the echo of her experience in language, however inadequate it might be. In the free fall between stars, she wrote, I found not oblivion, but connection. Whether her journey had been physical or metaphysical, real or imagined, no longer seemed the most crucial question. The mathematics of black holes and the architecture of profound grief shared a strange, common truth. At their inescapable center, conventional rules dissolved. And sometimes, passing through that dissolution was the only way forward. Eleanor sipped her coffee, feeling the morning sun warm on her face. She felt simultaneously finite and infinite, a woman standing in her kitchen, anchored to the earth, and a consciousness that had grazed the underlying structure of reality. Today would be different. Today, she would live as one who had fallen through the world and returned, not unchanged, but no longer broken.